Hey there. So let's talk about academic papers. If you've ever had to dive into research for a project, you know it can feel like you're lost in this incredibly dense, confusing jungle. But don't worry. Today, we're going to build you a field guide, a map, to help you spot all the different species of research you're going to find out there.
Seriously, we've all been there. You type in a search term, hit enter, and suddenly, bam, you're hit with a tidal wave of articles. And they all look so complicated and intimidating. It is super easy to just feel completely overwhelmed.
But that's exactly why we're here. Think of this as your safari through the academic jungle. We're going to give you the tools, the binoculars if you will, so that by the end of this, you'll be able to spot the different types of articles in the wild like a pro.
Okay, let's start with the two biggest creatures you're going to run into, the absolute giants of this jungle: original research articles and review articles. Getting the difference between these two is, without a doubt, the most important first step. It changes everything.
So let's break it down. On one hand, you've got original research. This is all about something brand new. It's a primary source, presenting fresh data from an experiment, and it usually follows this really specific structure called IMRAD. On the other hand, you have the review article. This is a secondary source. Its job is to look at all the original research that's already out there and synthesize it, to bring it all together. That's why you'll see a review with like hundreds of references. It's summarizing the entire conversation in a field.
You know, a really great way to think about it is that an original research paper is like a single seed of new knowledge. It's one focused study, one experiment that adds one new specific piece to our understanding of the world. It's literally where new ideas begin to grow.
And if original research is the seed, then a review article, well, that's the whole flower in full bloom. It gathers up all those individual seeds that have sprouted and gives you this beautiful, comprehensive picture of the entire garden. It tells you what we know so far, what people are arguing about, and where things might be headed next.
All right, so once you get past those two giants, the jungle is filled with all sorts of other, more specialized creatures. Let's take a quick look at a few of these specialists, because each one has a really unique job to do in this whole ecosystem of knowledge.
First up, we've got the short report, sometimes called a letter. Think of this one as the cheetah of the academic world. Its entire reason for existing is speed. When a scientist has a really big, time-sensitive discovery, this is how they get it out to the community fast. This is often where you see the breaking news of science appear first.
Then you have methodology articles. Now, these are really cool. They aren't about the results of the science, they're about the how. They are the detailed instruction manuals, the blueprints. If a researcher invents a totally new way to do an experiment, they publish a methods paper so that everyone else can use their new tool. It's the ultimate show your work paper. And then there are case studies. These are the deep dives. Instead of looking at hundreds of people in a big experiment, a case study goes super deep on just one person, one group, or one event. It gives us this incredibly rich, real-world story that can teach us powerful lessons, especially in fields like medicine or psychology.
Okay, so now that we know how to spot these different species, let's grab one, that classic original research paper, and put it under the microscope. We're going to dissect it, because most of them follow a really logical structure called the IMAD format.
And it's actually super straightforward when you break it down like this. IMRAD just stands for Introduction, Methods, Results, and Discussion. The introduction basically asks, why did we do this? The methods explain, how did we do it? The results show, what did we find? Just the raw facts. And finally, the discussion answers the most important question. So what? Why does any of this matter?
Now, out of all those sections, I really want to zoom in on the methods. Why? Because this section is the absolute cornerstone of good science. If the methods are shaky or aren't explained well, then you simply cannot trust the results, period. This is what lets other scientists check the work.
And I mean, the level of detail has to be intense. The methods section spells out everything, from exactly how the data was collected to the specific statistical analysis that was used. This kind of transparency is completely non-negotiable. Another scientist has to be able to read this and repeat the experiment step for step.
So why all this fuss about methods? Well, it all boils down to one word: reproducibility. That is the beating heart of science. If nobody else can repeat your experiment and get a similar result, then your finding doesn't mean much. A solid methods section also ensures precision, it shows a logical process, and in a lot of fields, it's absolutely critical for safety protocols.
So, we've toured the jungle, we've dissected the anatomy, but what does this actually mean for you? Well, knowing this stuff isn't just for a pop quiz. This is your research superpower.
Honestly, understanding these article types is the key that unlocks the entire world of research. When you know what kind of paper you're looking at, you know how to use it. Are you starting a totally new topic and just need the lay of the land? Grab a review article. Do you need to track down the hard evidence for one very specific claim? That's when you hunt for the original research paper. This knowledge makes you read smarter, and it definitely makes you write stronger.
And that brings us to one last thing to think about. These formats we've talked about, they've served science well for a long, long time. But today we live in this age of instant information, of preprint servers and open data. So it makes you wonder, what's the future of sharing scientific knowledge going to look like? How are we going to balance the need for speed with the need for rigor? Something to chew on.